Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is after lunch session, and we will try to keep it as interesting as possible. We have our UN agency colleagues here with us today to talk a bit more about what the UN is doing with reference to the WSIS process. As you all know, the WSIS is a UN process because we have the UNGA resolutions, ECOSOC resolutions. Within our own UN agencies, we have several resolutions that our membership have approved. So we are here to tell you more about what we are doing and what we think of the future of the WSIS process. The United Nations Group on the Information Society, it plays a pivotal role in advancing the mandates of WSIS on digital for development. It was created by the Chief Executive Board to ensure that the UN system works together to drive digital transformation and sustainable development. We are a very effective and well-coordinated, outcome-oriented group. We have chairs, vice chairs, and members of the CEB who are members of the UNGIS. We have extended it to observer members as well that include new UN entities like ODET. Well, the key mandates of UNGIS include policy coordination, multi-stakeholder engagement like we are doing today, supporting internationally agreed global development goals, monitoring and reporting, and of course, UNGIS has been instrumental in supporting the Global Digital Compact and making sure that we deliver UNGIS inputs into the Global Digital Compact. So without any further delay, I would like to invite, of course, our chair, UNESCO, and our vice chairs, UNCTAD, UNDP. I represent ITU to kind of let us know what they're doing, what our vision is, and of course, aligning it with the GDC without duplications. UNESCO, I'll pass the floor to you first. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Gitanjali. So just to highlight that indeed the 20-year review of WSIS is a pivotal moment to assess the progress and explore future directions. And for us, one of the enduring strengths of WSIS framework lies in its technology-neutral and principle-based design. The action lines of WSIS and the outcome documents were deliberately crafted to transcend specific technologies, and this design philosophy has allowed the WSIS framework to remain relevant across successive waves of digital innovation, from the early days of the internet adoption through the rise of mobile phones and social media, and to today's transformative era of the AI. And at UNESCO, as the lead facilitator for 6 action lines out of 11, we emphasize this adaptive capacity as a key advantage over more rigid technology-specific approaches that risk obsolescence in the face of rapid digital evolution. Thus, for UNESCO, WSIS Plus 20 is a forward-looking opportunity to align digital transformation with human rights, sustainability, and inclusive development. UNESCO's report for the 20 years of WSIS contributing to the 28th session of the CSTD called for reinforcement of WSIS as a central multi-stakeholder platform that facilitates international cooperation in the digital policy. And for us, WSIS can strengthen its position as a hub for dialogue on emerging technologies on issues such as misinformation, gender equality, and digital rights. To this end, it's essential to further expand WSIS' unique multi-stakeholder engagement with grassroots organizations, with youth, with marginalized communities. Our work is indeed guided by a singular vision that digital transformation must serve the humanity, not the other way around, as it has been highlighted and stated from various UN agencies, and in this vein, UNESCO is supporting member states, for example, with evidence-based policy tools such as the Internet Universality ROMEX indicators to readiness assessment methodology for AI governance, just to give a few concrete examples of these tools. And we're building capacity, training educators, civil servants, and judicial actors to navigate the complexities of the digital era. And just a couple weeks ago, as you were there as well, Gitanjali, UNESCO hosted a conference highlighting, and colleagues from the UNDP and other colleagues were there too. We hosted a workshop that highlighted the need for capacity building on AI and digital transformation in the public sector. That is the backbone of transforming policies in real services for citizens. The conference brought together diverse stakeholders, and it also served as the first consultation of the review process. And we are thankful to the co-facilitators of the representatives of Albania and Kenya to the UN for their engagement and cooperation, and of course our key partners of ITU and UNDP. And it is important to point out that we are not doing this alone. We are doing it in a cooperative approach and in partnership with our UN colleagues. And our engagement within UNGIS, the UN Group on the Information Society, is central to this effort. And as a current chair of the group, alongside with vice chairs ITU, UNDP, and UNCTAD, UNESCO helps ensure that the UN system speaks with one voice on the digital development. UNGIS enables us to coordinate actions across agencies, avoid duplication, and amplify impact, aligning with other UN processes such as the GDC. So I'd like to stop here and thank you for this important discussion. Looking forward to hearing from other colleagues.
Thank you, Tatevik. And I do see that our FAO colleague is in the audience. Dayan, please join us on the podium as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tatevik. The conference was a milestone, the UNESCO conference, which will feed into the WSIS Plus 20 overall review, highlighting the importance of the work that UNESCO is doing to implement the WSIS process and the vision of WSIS. So really, as you mentioned, the United Nations Group on Information Society, UNGIS, is digital cooperation in action. We have been working together not only to provide inputs to other UN processes and events happening, but also showing how UN can work together and avoid duplication. Thank you so much. I'd like to pass on to Yuping from UNDP, who is also vice chair of UNGIS. Yuping, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gitanjali, and really thank you to colleagues for all being here today and to the stakeholders for spending so much of your time with us. As the United Nations Development Programme, we're very proud to be a co-convener of the WSIS Forum and also to work in partnership with all our sister and brother UN agencies, really thinking about how we deliver directly to communities and countries in the area of digital cooperation. So the United Nations Development Programme is the UN's development wing. We're present in over 170 countries and territories around the world. And we have been in many countries, the face of the UN in terms of accompanying a national government through all phases of its development, and particularly in countries where, you know, sometimes it is a little bit more of a challenging environment. The United Nations Development Programme has functioned as the right hand of government in implementing public services, supporting institutional operations, and really helping to deliver public services to the citizens and people of that country. So right now, for instance, we are in over 130 countries with supporting on programs or implementing programs on leveraging digital and AI to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We have supported over 60 countries, I think, at last count, in more specific areas such as AI and digital assessments, digital capacity building, supporting the rollout of digital public infrastructure, technical advisory support to governments in really thinking about how digital can be leveraged for a transformation of their countries in support of development itself. And then we work very closely with our UN agency partners in many specific areas. So with the ITU on global AI skills and capacity building, with UNESCO colleagues on AI landscape and readiness assessments, and really looking at how there are specific areas in which we can really turn global discussions into concrete areas of work. I've touched on the various areas. We work at all levels, national, in-country, regional, through our regional bureaus, as well as the global sort of convening areas, as well as in thought leadership around digital public infrastructure, around AI for sustainable development, around sort of thinking about how AI and digital can be leveraged to achieve development with very practical delivery aspects. I want to really emphasize this idea that in some ways, because UNDP has such a broad developmental mandate, we can work across all these sectors to really bring together digital transformation, digital cooperation in a holistic and comprehensive way. So we work, for instance, with the technical expertise of our different colleagues that focus on the particular sectors. We're bringing it into a overall all of government type developmental approach, whereby it's not really just looking at one piece in isolation, but trying to bring it all together in a development perspective and a whole of government approach. So in that way, we serve as an integrator in country, partnering with a lot of our colleagues that bring that level of technical expertise to the support of member states directly in country itself. I think I just want to also support the point that's been made by my other colleagues that in the implementation of the WSIS action lines and the WSIS framework, this coming together of the UN agencies through this type of interagency collaboration has been very powerful. The role of the United Nations Group on Information Society that UNESCO had highlighted and currently chairs has been critical in bringing about this kind of policy coherence, alignment, information sharing, and then the collaboration that can really bring to bear the cooperative strengths, the comparative advantages and expertise of the various UN systems. And then on the final point, I do also note that it is a difficult time for the multilateral system and the international collaborative spirit that has brought us all together. The fact that WSIS is 20 years old, that we're coming still together to discuss such aspects as the capacity development and the need to make sure that everyone everywhere, including developing countries and the global south, are part of this global conversation is really important. But that is why we in the WSIS Plus 20 review process need to double down on the idea of delivery, of impact, of leveraging existing institutions, interagency mechanisms, and collaborative efforts and partnerships that have worked, that have delivered, and really continue to see how we can further support them at this critical moment. I'll end there and really look forward to hearing from other colleagues and stakeholders.
Thank you, Yuping. UNDP is not only a close partner of the WSIS process, but also one of our main voices in New York, along with the New York offices that each one of us have. But thanks a lot for keeping us all updated about what's going on in New York. We have made several efforts to ensure that the diplomats and the wider stakeholder community in New York is also abreast of what's happening within the WSIS process, because finally the negotiations are going to take place in New York in December. And we would need each one of you to be advocates in New York for us to be able to explain the importance of the WSIS process, the multi-stakeholder elements that it has, and also that it's evolved with the evolution of technology. So the framework of WSIS action lines, the UNGIS UN framework, and so on and so forth, it all has evolved with the evolution of technology in these 20 years. And it's not that we were set 20 years back and we are old and we have not evolved. As you can see, we are all standing here in front of you, ensuring that we are agile in digital cooperation and that we are delivering. So thank you very much. I have Ms. Liping Zhang from UNCTAD CSTD with us online. Liping, can you hear us? The floor is yours, Liping.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Liping, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gitanjali. Well, it's a great pleasure to participate in this event at IGF again, because we launched the CSD consultation on WSIS Plus 20 at IGF in Kyoto in October 2023. So we are very happy to participate in this event organized by ITU at the IGF.
Liping, we lost you. We don't hear you anymore. Okay, We do hope we'll get Lipping back. As you all know, member states negotiated the ECOSOC resolution at the annual CSTD. And one of the main paragraphs which were approved was that it recognizes the importance of integrating the implementation of GDC commitments into the WSIS architecture in order to avoid duplication and ensure a cohesive and consistent approach to digital cooperation. So this really shows us the way member states are thinking currently within of including the GDC objectives into the WSIS architecture. Lipping, are you back? I just referred to the resolution that was adopted. Okay, while we get Lipping back, maybe we could move to Makhtar, because we are also working closely with the UN regional commissions that have a mandate to implement WSIS at the regional level. Makhtar, UNECA, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gitangali. Good afternoon, colleague. It's a great pleasure for UNECA to give an update on our activity under WSIS and also under this UNGIS. As you know, Africa has mandate, according to the general GA resolution, to support the organization of WSIS outcome regional review at the continental level. We have done our WSIS Plus 20 review this year in Benin in May. And this meeting gathered a lot of African countries, and the key out to discuss on the progress made by African countries during these last 20 years. So we have very good progress in several areas. Also, we have several challenges, and the key outcome of this review meeting was the adoption of the Declaration of the Cotonou. This declaration called upon for a continuation of WSIS for the next 10 years. Also to make sure to avoid any duplication with the global digital compact to make sure we align and or we integrate all this framework together. And also what is important, we requested also to include a monitoring and evaluation framework in the WSIS for the next phase. It is a key outcome of this meeting. Also, we organize this African Internet Governance Forum in Tanzania end of May, and also we have adopted a Dar es Salaam declaration on Internet Governance Forum. This declaration called upon the continuation of IGF also for 10 years to align with WSIS request we have done in Cotonou, and also to align with the global digital compact and to avoid any duplication with this framework. Also, there are a lot of issues discussed in WSIS Plus 20 and IGF on the challenge faced by African countries, such as this issue of connectivity. This is the issue of electricity also should be included in the next phase of WSIS, because it's something very important. Issue of data governance, of course, is covered in the global digital compact, and AI also as a key issue, and also the inclusion of people with disability on the general process of the digital economy in the world. Also, as the UNGIS review, we have several activities with our sister agency. I can highlight some. We already developed, we launched 2 weeks ago with UNCTAD their report on technology and innovation. It went very well. We are going to work, we are working also closely with ITU to develop this Africa digital gap to be ready by September. It is requested by the Secretary General to ECA to work closely with ITU to develop this Africa digital gap. Also, ECA has developed a taxation for the ICT sector model. This taxation shows how when we optimize the taxation on the ICT sector, we can increase the GDP, the job creation, and as well as the connectivity. And we agree with ITU to work together to expand this taxation report and taxation calculator in as a region across the world. Also, we work closely with ITU on the digital public infrastructure also for Africa. We also organize with UNESCO and ITU also the Science Technology Innovation Forum for Africa held in Uganda in April. It went very well, and a lot of discussion was around how we can promote innovation using AI across the continent in line with the implementation of the 5 objectives of the GDC. On digital ID also we work, we have shown before the freeze of the budget how UN agency can work together to make more efficient their intervention at the country level. We have a good example with UNDP in UNICEF in Malawi to develop their strategy and their project on digital ID. Also on data governance, we are working closely with some UN agency in 4 countries, namely DRC, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Burundi, to support them to develop their national data governance strategy as well as to build their capacity on data governance. In conclusion, I think we need to work more all together and more efficiently given this budget issue. And UNECA and ITU work closely, and UNCTAD and SOL and UNDP, and I think we can replicate this in the several countries with other organizations. And in conclusion, we need for Africa, the message is very clear. We request the expansion of WISIS for the next 10 years, and the Africa and the IGF also for the next 10 years, and of course to avoid any duplication with global digital compact. We should put in place a mechanism for integration of this framework, as well as a mechanism for evaluation and monitoring for WISIS, for IGF, to measure the progress accomplished and where we can correct it, because we have a target in what call it in WISIS, but we don't have in the Internet Governance Forum, as well as we need also to institutionalize the Internet Governance Forum. It is a summary of key activity undertaken in Africa with under the UNGIS committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Makhtar, and thank you for emphasizing on the important role that regional commissions are playing at the regional level to implement WISIS. I do have Sebastian Roviria on our list from ECLAC, the Latin American Commission. Colleagues, the production company, could we know if Sebastian is online? Yes, I can see him on the screen. Sebastian, it's really late for you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Gitanjali. Nice to be here, and actually it's a pleasure to share and also trying to be online here with you. Just to bring some issue related to what we have been doing in ECLAC related to digital transformation in the last year. As you know, ECLAC has been indeed very at the forefront of design and analytical tools to support government in navigating the digital transformation. So we have been put a strong emphasis on evidence-based policy, and one of our flagship initiatives in this is how we call simulator of productive digital transformation for support the design and implementation of new tools to support digital transformation in the region. As you know, this is a tool is grounded in the concept of digital complexity. This is something new for the region, and actually we're trying to seek to understand the capacity of a country or sector also to be integrate and absorb advanced digital technologies based on its productive and technology capacity. This is important also to our digital agenda to implement the ILAC agenda. This is a regional project that we have been working in the last 20 years and very in line with the WISIS process. These tools are actually we're trying to actually support the identification of digital pathway for different sectors of the economy. I also try to quantify the distance to be more complex in the digital technology. I also design target intervention by matching technology demand with the institutional and productive readiness of the territory. So in the context of the WISIS Plus 20 review process, this approach trying to contribute, to concretely to several dimensions of the digital development agenda. This is important also to scale up this effort and require not just technical collaboration, but also political political alignment and resources mobilization. You know, the WISIS Plus 20 provide a unique opportunity to formalize these kind of synergies and embedded digital complexity approach into the global digital cooperation architecture, and particularly in the context of the GDC and the SDG implementation. So I think it is very important also to try to identify new tools and also how we can collaborate in this process, since, you know, the digital transformation actually accelerate. It's important also to try to identify new ways on how we can support and also collaborate in this process. Up to you, Gitanjali.
Thank you, Sebastian, and thank you for being the Vice Chair of UNGIS this year, bringing the regional perspectives. And ECLAC is one of the regional commissions that organizes the Ministerial Conference on Information Society in Latin America and the Caribbean region, and covers WISIS through that ministerial session as well. So last year it was held in Chile. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now we have, you know, this new agenda. This is the agenda for these 2 years, the ILAC 2026. It was approved last year in 2024 with some key elements in the agenda. You know, the agenda is organized and actually have 3 main pillars: one related to productive development, another with well-being, and another with the transformation of the state. And there are other axes that are more transversal to the agenda. One is related to the meaningful connectivity and digital infrastructure. This is something that really important that we have identified. This is not enough also, obviously, to count, or you have the the infrastructure of be connected. It's also other elements that must be important also to be assured that you are using the connectivity in a proper way, and you can also appropriate from the value that this technology could bring to the people. Another one is related to the governance of digital security, and this is every day is being more and more important, particularly related to the the advance of artificial intelligence. How you are governance the data that is generated in this space, and also that had also the IGF count and started to be much more important. And the last one is related to this innovation and this emerging new technology. All the artificial intelligence and this other aspect, how you are using this to support the sustainable development. The agenda, as Gitanjali says, is organized on these 3 main pillars and these 3 main axes, and the idea is how you use this also to accelerate the transformation, digital transformation, but this acceleration must be inclusive and at the same way allowed countries and the region to transform their productive process and also the inclusion process. We also, for sure, have new instrument to implement this agenda. One, as was saying, is this related to this simulator. This is part of the Digital Transformation Lab. Another one, and I think this is very important, is an observatory on digital development, because, and this is obvious for developing regions, you need data, you must do evidence-based policies, and every day is being more and more important. Another one is related to this, the necessity and the importance of, support capacity building, and we have some digital schools, digital transformation school for the Latin American and for the Caribbean. And the last one is related to these working groups that we have in the framework of the ILAC process. One related to digital economy, another artificial intelligence, another meaningful connectivity, data governance, and the Caribbean are some of the instruments that we're working in the process of this ILAC, because it's not just a political agenda, it's also an implementing agenda that's trying to support the countries in this digital transformation process.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, for joining us virtually, even though you couldn't be here with us physically this time. And we really appreciate the implementation of the WISIS process at the regional level. And you also won the WISIS prize one year, I recall. And and really, like, the Latin American region is much more engaged in the WISIS process, thanks to the advocacy that ECLAC has been doing. Thank you so much. There's light, but I do see Mr. Slater from UNIDO also there. Slater, if you'd like to join us here, that would be great. I would now like to pass on the floor to Martin from United Nations University. Martin, tell us what's happening in that world.
Well, thank you. It's not a short answer, but I'll try and highlight a few things. So first of all, UNU has long recognized the potential of technology, and it's been a core focus across all our work since the early 1990s. This is anything from water management and natural resource management to peacekeeping and the transformation of society or the public sector at large. Naturally, we've been supporting the WSIS process from the onset, and we generally link this to the SDGs and the GDC. So, for instance, we contribute to the WSIS process. We participate in the WSIS forum every year. We bring our partners there. But we also contributed to the formulation of the Pact of the Future, and we facilitated the data deep dive consultation for the GDC to ensure that it's aligned. And in fact, we worked with Makta and his team to do that on AI and data governance in the African context. Today, we actively collaborate with all UN agencies, essentially. And we also work with regional and national partners. Uniquely, UNU is not funded by the UN general budget. It is funded directly by our national partners, our regional partners. So we are instead funded by member states who relies on us or entrust us with independent research, capacity building, policy advice and assessment. And of course, we bring the WSIS objectives and other objectives from the UN system into that work. Today, we're about 1,000 experts, not officials, but experts working in 19 different locations across 14 countries. We do that in different ways. We usually do that in local collaboration with research entities, so we're usually co-hosted with a university or research organization and enjoys the support from national, local or regional government in terms of our financing. We're also deeply embedded into the UN digital cooperation architecture and contribute to a various number of forums. So our rector is a member on the UN Secretary General Scientific Advisory Board. Our UN office is working with the Office for ICT on this year's digital technologies report. We are also leading research support for the advisory board for artificial intelligence. Together with ITU, we are developing the AI for Good flagship project. We are also working on AI in cities with U for SSC, which is another ITU initiative, but targeting local authorities and AI in the city context. We ran a series of webinars with the International Social Security Association on all things AI in social security protection and universal coverage, and that culminated on a report with policy recommendations for social security agencies last year. We also part of the working group on data governance from the SCD. We are actually in the working group on digital inclusion for the Islamic Development Bank. And on Sunday, we're launching a 5-day virtual training on that with their member states and partners from there. We work closely with the UNDP DPI Safeguards Group. We are part of the Open Source Complex project that is being launched quite recently by the Office of the ICT, together with RISE, the Swedish Research Institute. In the regional context, we have set up a number of member state networks on digital transformation. We already launched one a few years ago for West Africa together with UNECA and also the African Union and UNDESA. That led to the launch of a South and East African governance network last year in South Africa. And Tuesday, we launched a Central Asian governance network sponsored by the government of Turkmenistan. Lastly, we also run a number of different type of online networks. So again, local government service online is a network that was also presented earlier today by the Tunisians together with UNDESA. We do the same with innovation in health. led by technology in the hospice. And we run a number of conference series bringing both practitioners, civil society, and decision makers and researchers together. So the next one is in October, the AI conference series in Macau, and our IGF conference hosted by the government of Nigeria in Abuja in November. So essentially, we support WSIS and the process and the objectives throughout our work. Again, we're focusing on independent evidence-based insights, particularly tailoring the implementation on some of our objectives in the member states, and always try and link that from governance to practical implementation.
Thank you, Morten, for that really comprehensive response. And in fact, I recall we've been working with UNU, not only your eGov center, but also there's a center in Macau that has been working with us since really the inception of WSIS. And we've always been exploring the academic training angles. Not only that, I think we've been in joint sessions with countries to also explore the implementation of WSIS action lines on the ground. So thank you so much for this excellent collaboration that we have here for WSIS. I'll move on to Richard from WIPO, who's not only our good neighbor in Geneva, but has been working very closely with us on various issues. Richard, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Gitanjali, for inviting me. And of course, we're confirming that as a good neighbor from across the street, we always work very closely with our good friends from ITU. So just to say that as the UN agency for intellectual property, WIPO serves, of course, these world's innovators and creators. We do this through our international IP registries that help them transform the ideas from across borders or by setting international IP standards and norms. So this includes, of course, the 2 new international multilateral treaties that have been concluded last year. One of the more exciting also work of our organization is our ability to track intellectual property activity across the world. And our databases include, among others, 120 million patent documents, 17 million designs, 68 million trademarks. And all of this data is available for anyone to use, and it is powered by different AI tools that help search and translate it to different languages. So examples, what you can do with this IP information. So you can find, among others, that over the past 20 years, patent applications have grown the fastest in computer technologies and digital communication, with an average annual growth of around 8%. Between 2010 and 2024, the number of patent grants for AI technology was up over 3,000%, and only between 21 and 22, it was 60%. And this is just a snippet of all the information you can find within this IP information. This is all the findings, the insights you can get from this IP information. This is just a snippet of it. Through our patent information insight reports, we leverage all this patent information to explore a number of technologies, such as AI, of course, but also assistive technologies, transportation, or health and safety tech. And on many of these, we are working very closely with a lot of our UN family partners, as well as beyond. Perhaps to also say that equally important is that all this information is also used by our innovators and creators, because by accessing this data, accessing this information, then they can avoid duplication of R&D, build on existing knowledge in improving inventions, assess patentability of their inventions, identify licensing and collaboration opportunities, and many more. So at WIPO, we really want to make sure that all innovators from across the world have access to this knowledge gathered in these databases, and that they know how to use it. So this is why we continue to expand our technology and innovation support centers, in short, TISCs. Typically, they are located in the patent office, universities, and science and tech parks in developing and least developing countries. And they enable the researchers and inventors to get access and to use the technological information gathered in this database. And a score of scientific and technical publications which is linked to it. In recent years, also the TISC have been starting developing additional innovation support services such as technology transfer, IP management, or commercialization. And since TISCs were launched back in 2009, 93 countries have established these networks, helping innovators develop new innovations across local communities. This is just one of the wide examples that I could be giving. We have submitted, of course, our VCs Plus 20 review, where you can find all our work on digital and development. But being here, also just to mention that being here in IGF and hearing all the discussions, including on AI, let me just mention that we also have our WIPO conversation, which is a forum intended to provide everyone with a leading global setting to discuss all the impacts of frontier technologies on all the many different IP rights, and to also bridge that information gap. What is also important that following the different versions of the conversations, we provide a range of tools and on-the-ground projects, such as the AI and IP policy toolkit or the upcoming AI and infrastructure interchange. And I know the time is always running short, and I'm looking always at the clock and the moderator, but I just want to finish by saying that WIPO is always looking forward to supporting all our stakeholders and countries in ensuring that every innovator and creator can thrive. And we love doing this together with our UN family and our partners from across the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. I'll move on to Jason Slater from UNIDO. Jason, I recall once the SDGs were adopted in 2015, UNIDO got together with us and we wanted to highlight resilient infrastructure, the SDG 9. And we had a great partnership within the WSIS process. There was also several high-level dialogues in 2017 and so on and so forth. So really, UNIDO plays a very important role in terms of the resilient infrastructure part. Not only that, but much more. We are also partnering for the youth track this year. UNIDO is bringing some young people to the WSIS high-level events. So please do join us to see the spirit of the youngsters and what they want us to do beyond 2025. Over to you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for putting me on the spot. So I don't have any prepared speaking notes whatsoever, but yeah, no, I mean, understanding what the topic is, which is key around collaboration, as you pointed out, we've been working together with yourselves, ITU, now for a number of years, with my colleague next door now in FAO, how are we collaborating on agriculture, supply chains, etc., looking at certain value chains, such as coffee and what have you. But just to take a slight step back, so, you know, we hear about the spirit of cooperation. We hear about what WSIS has been doing. As you mentioned, we've been collaborating now in a number of years with WSIS on some of the action lines. Last year, we had the adoption of the Global Digital Compact. UNIDO has been appointed as one of the co-chairs, along with our colleagues from UNTAD, on inclusive, sustainable digital economy. And what we are doing, and we're using forums such as WSIS and AI for Good, is how can we have a call for solutions? From UNIDO's perspective, we really looking at how can we build up this multi-stakeholder approach through the private sector, through academia, through think tanks, to ultimately identify solutions that can solve problems of our member states. And that, of course, is not something that's unique to us. A number of us are doing this on the panel, and I'm sure we're all working with similar similar ecosystems, and that's something that I think we can come together more and more and amplify, because if we do this collectively with each of our unique mandates and specializations, we will have a much, much greater impact. So just, if I may just touch on a few specific areas that we are now prioritizing. So in my role as Chief AI Innovation and Digital Officer, providing services to our 172 member states, we realized that we are having to focus on areas that's, when we talk about AI, that's perhaps not as what's so commonly known at the moment when we think about Gen AI and what's going on around Copilot, Gemini, GPT, etc., but really about what can you do when you're leveraging AI in, for example, smart manufacturing. How can you help a small, medium enterprise who's got a relatively old aging production line and inject it with AI-powered chips that can make their production line more energy efficient, etc. So this is an area that we've seen that we want to start to support even more. So we're establishing a number of centres of excellences. For example, in Addis in Ethiopia, in collaboration with the Chinese government, in Morocco, in Tunisia. We have a number of others that will be coming up in Latin America in the coming months, in Cuba, in Venezuela, and what have you. And really to see how can we build up this partnership-based approach to bring those solutions from technology providers, from industry, etc., so that our member states can ultimately benefit from this. Last but not least, I would just like to also mention that in this space of innovation, how can we also harness what's going on around startups and innovators? We have a program that's referred to ScaleX, which is basically threefold. It has an accelerator program. Actually, again, we did this in collaboration with FAO last year. We had an innovation challenge. We had a wonderful people who actually won the award that developed an AI chip that could smell food loss, which we're now actually looking to deploy in some of our projects. But so in addition to this, we have the innovation side as well, which is a collaboration between ourselves as the UN agencies with the corporate sector, and in particular with fund managers as well, so that we can ultimately support and help startups scale their solutions and become investable. And with that, I will just take a minute to pause, knowing about the time, and say thank you very much for inviting me to this stage, and looking forward to continuing with our collaboration, and see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And just for those of you who will join the high-level event, as part of the youth track, we will have a youth party. It's a youth networking event. So all of us are invited. We're all young at heart. so you're all invited to the ITU Morbriand building on the 7th for the youth party. Jason, you mentioned the hackathons and the smart challenges. These are really great, but one thing we really need to look at is also the incubation of this good work. You did touch upon it, like how do we incubate these startups? So that's something we would really like to explore more with FAO and UNIDO. While we are talking about FAO, Dayan, congratulations, you're a WSIS champion this year. WSIS Prizes champion. Can you tell us more about the project and the work that you're doing?
Yes, of course. Before I mention the project, first of all, thank you for inviting me also to the stage. So Food and Agriculture Organization, our focus is to basically end hunger. And the way we approach that is by looking at having better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. And to achieve that, we know that technology or the digital opportunities offer us enablement, but also acceleration of the urgently needed transformation of agri-food systems. So how do we do that? We basically don't look only at one sector and, for example, only to improve production, but we also look into improving production and opportunities to transform. And I think this is maybe common, what I'm hearing also with other colleagues from other agencies. The opportunities we see and we need to take advantage of require transformation, not simply doing the same thing but maybe more efficient, but actually transformation. And this is some of the projects that you're mentioning as well from UNIDO. If we look at FAO contribution, what we focus on is producing the digital public goods. We are also contributing to digital public infrastructures. We also provide advisories and enablement mechanisms for countries to transform agri-food system sector, so digitalization on different elements. But also, if I look around just this panel, most of the enabling elements is actually among us. So this is where we see a huge benefit of UNGIS and WSIS, also GDC and other instruments that we use for the enabling elements. I'll just give a few examples. We do know we still need to work on connectivity, so we heavily rely on Broadband Commission and work of ITU on that, and we really appreciate all the efforts. We also know we need to step up the educational elements, and we have UNESCO here as well. So we have jointly all together, how to say, the mandates and the instruments to move forward. One of the other areas that is very important to mention is that we need to work cross-sectorial. FAO cannot cover all the sectors. Our mandate is clear, so we do depend on others, and we see that as opportunity. So we will continue to work in this way. And yes, I think this is our second or third WSIS Champion Award. So that particular project is focusing on avoiding food loss, in fact. And this is one area that is not really fully explored, and a lot of food is being wasted even before harvest and before it gets to the table. So this is one of the examples. But some of the major capabilities we provide are for stakeholders, so for targeted interventions and for investment cases. So this is something that we do every October at the World Food Day, at the 80th birthday also FAO this year. And also we provide digital public goods to the farmers, so knowledge products in hand, and or what we refer to as extension services. So again, looking at the clock, thank you very much, but I'll be around if any questions come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dayan. Our colleague from UNSCAP messaged me that he's also online. So production team, if you can get Siope the floor. It's 8:30 in Thailand. So Siope, thank you so much for being there. Siope, can you hear us? The floor is yours, Siope. This is. Please go ahead, Siope.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Gitanjali, for inviting ESCAP. I'm pleased to be part of the conversation this evening. ESCAP looks forward to working closely with ITU, and we have done in the past through our regional programs. We have worked together with ITU on the regional review of WSIS. And of course, every year we hold the Asia Pacific Information Superhighway Steering Committee, of which we work together with ITU to bring in the champions in the Asia Pacific region to share their projects with other Asia-Pacific countries and try to promote best practices and lessons learned from other countries. So we look forward to doing that this year as well. I think the next APIS Steering Committee meeting is planned for November of this year. So we look forward to working together with ITU on that and also other agencies. As you may know, ESCAP continues to work with member states in the region to promote regional cooperation on digital connectivity through capacity building and also policy advisory on digital transformation. We look forward to working together with other agencies through UNGIS to promote digital cooperation and transformation in the region. So thank you so much for the opportunity to contribute to today's conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Siope, and thanks for being with us. It's so late in Thailand, so thank you so much. With that, we'd like to open the floor. I do see some of you who were raising your hand earlier. Was it... Guys, this is your chance to raise your... Oh, ma'am, please introduce yourself and please take the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tsolofelo Mokoni. I'm Internet Governance Coordinator from South Africa. Firstly, let me start by saying it is very pleasing to see a wide range of UN agencies take the floor and talk to us about the work that they do. So thank you to the facilitator and the coordinator for coordinating this session. As South Africa, we recognize and commend the work of UNGIS, particularly in driving digital cooperation within UN systems. We particularly acknowledge and commend the work of UN agencies such as UNECA, which have played a critical role in supporting developing countries, especially across Africa, to access emerging technologies. By promoting technology transfer and facilitating the integration of ICTs into national strategies, UNECA has helped ensure that digital transformation contributes meaningfully to inclusive growth. Furthermore, UNGIS continue to play an important role in advancing global digital transformation by fostering coordination, policy coherence, and implementation of WIS's line actions. And we, as South Africa, our position is that that work needs to continue beyond 2025, and we look forward to continued collaboration in strengthening digital ecosystems across the continent and globally. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa, and we look forward to continuing working with you. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for this very interesting and fruitful discussion. I'm Aisling Lynch-Kelly, and I'm from Foundation The London Story. We're an Indian diaspora-led human and digital rights organization. So we recently commissioned the first ever baseline study on the challenges and possible solutions for accessing digital health in India. Whilst digital health is undoubtedly democratizing access to healthcare in India, we know that marginalized communities, as well as those who live in rural areas without adequate internet access or internet infrastructure, remain largely excluded and thus unable to access good quality healthcare. Given these persistent barriers and the significant potential of digital health to advance SDG 3 and SDG 10 in India, we'd be interested to know if and how UNDP and UNGIS other members are working with the Indian government at both the union and state level, as well as other relevant stakeholders, to ensure that the world's largest democracy can fully benefit from the transformative power of digital healthcare, and work to ensure that access to healthcare in India expands to become fully inclusive, high quality, and accessible for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yuping, do you want to take that?
Thank you for the question. So we actually have quite an extensive UNDP country office in India, which is working to implement a variety of programs, including, I believe, on digital health. But the overall approach that we take to digital health is really founded on a digital public infrastructure approach, which emphasizes interoperable, inclusive, rights-based approaches to digital transformation. So as part of that, we actually worked very closely with the Indian G20 presidency 2 years ago around this particularly groundbreaking approach to digital transformation, and really thinking about how digital public infrastructure and really embedding this notion of a rights-based, inclusive, people-centered approach to digital public infrastructure should be part of that conversation. So we're looking forward to actually continuing the work with the Indian government. We actually had the Indian government and the Additional Secretary Abhishek, who's here at the Internet Governance Forum, on a panel just, I think it was 2 days ago, around AI implementation at the country level, where he reiterated this particular approach and outlined a little bit around the examples of the use cases, where he also highlighted digital health. So this will continue to be an area of collaboration between UNDP, particularly through our country offices, emphasizing the need for such a rights-based, inclusive approach. And we also welcome this kind of stakeholder input. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any specific suggestions of how we could improve this type of collaboration, any messages that we should continue to press forward as really a global thought leader in the area of digital public infrastructure, especially as we look towards next year's AI Action Summit that will be hosted by India, New Delhi. UNDP is actually working on making sure that this intersection between AI and digital public infrastructure, always grounded in UNDP's approach on being rights-based, inclusive, and people-centered, will take root.
Thank you very much, Yuping. We are also working with WHO on various standards. ITU is working on various standards, and you can get in touch with us also for further details. Can we try to bring in Liping Zhang from UNCTAD, please? She is there, and she would like to just very quickly finish her intervention. Liping Zhang. Liping, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
A little bit. Well, given the time constraint, I'll be very brief. Basically, I want to inform you that the CSD has completed its work on the WIS Plus-20 review, which will be reported to the General Assembly through ECOSOCO. The outcome of the discussions at the annual session of the CSD in April this year was reflected in the WISIS resolution. The resolution will be approved by ECOSOC in July at its management segment, and then will be submitted to the Assembly as a kind of inputs to its review to be held in December. And in that resolution, the UNGIS contribution to the WISIS was highly appreciated and was recognized. In particular, it also places expectation on the UNGIS to play an important role in the after 20 years review of the WISIS, which is basically to have a bigger role as an outcome of the review at the General Assembly. That's what the CSD resolution has recommended. The UNGIS should integrate the GDC into its action lines, and they should also play a bigger role in developing a kind of implementation mapping relating to the GDC. The overall purpose is basically to align the WISIS with the Sustainable Development Goals and the GDC implementation. So, well, I don't have anything else to add because of the time constraint. It's already after 3:45. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you very much, Liping, and we thank all UN agencies who've joined us here today. We'd like to invite you for a group photograph in the front, if you can join us, please. And thank you to the audience for your wonderful questions and participation.